Daniela, you're Brazilian, but you live in Australia. Can you explain us a little bit of your biography?
Right. So, yes, I was born in Brazil and I got an interest in photography when I was a teenager. And I was basically a hobby for me for many years. I then went on to study oceanography. So my connection with the ocean probably started before photography. I worked as an oceanographer for a little while, and then I started traveling because I've always had this big passion for traveling. And I ended up in Australia. I've now been living here for 25 years, I think. It's my home, just like Brazil. So photography started as a hobby, and it was a big part of my travels, just doing photos for myself. But then it's turned from a hobby into a part-time job. And after a few years, it developed into a full-time job for me. So I do a mix of sports and aerial and events photography. So I live in the southwest corner of Australia, and there is a huge amount of sports events happening, mostly outdoors in this area, from adventure races to swimming and triathlons and cycling events. So it's a beautiful part of the world, and there is a lot happening here, even though I live in a very small town at the moment.
Mhm. So you are oceanographer, but you have not developed any career on that field.
No, I only worked a few years as an oceanographer, and then once I started traveling, I sort of veered off in another direction. But I've always had this passion for the ocean, and even now, I do a lot of sports photography around the ocean, and also my personal projects with aerial photography and the drone often involve the ocean or the coastline. And when I can, I try to get involved into research projects. There is a group doing research on whale migration in the area. So whenever I can, I get involved in that sort of stuff. So the ocean is still a big part of my life, but it's just not an occupation. It's not a paid occupation.
Let's make a little bit of philosophy about photography, and because the best way of sharing a passion, a deep passion, we have a way of communicate, no, the beauty of what we are seeing, what we seeing, not only seeing but also feeling. If the picture you take is good enough, you communicate a lot of feelings in that, no? So in a way, we photographers at least are people who needs to share that passion and that beauty, no?
That's true. Yes. I feel an urge. I love chasing up beautiful things. We've got so many beautiful places and wildlife and things around our planet. Is just amazing to be able to witness some of those things, and you just get an urge to share when you get a photo or a video of something which is just stunning. Yeah, I think most photographers, you just get this urge to share and show that to other people in the hope that they will care for those things and also try to help preserve what is sometimes being lost or being degraded. But yeah, so it's a way of really, like you said, of sharing your passion for something. It's a way of expressing yourself too, the photography.
How will you describe yourself as a photographer? Which do you think are your main abilities or uh,
Um, I've always had a lot of attention for detail. And the other thing, maybe from my Brazilian background, I love colors and textures. So I do try to get that into my images. Um, and the ocean in the background somehow, if it's not obviously a cycling event inland, I always try to portray the ocean. And I think often on the sports events that I photograph, I often try to get like a wide landscape with the human figure in it. but it's a mix of sports and landscape photography, I guess. And that's something really nice to do with a drone. The drone is really good for that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
Yes, and I guess the other thing you sort of, as you practice, you sort of develop a better eye for composition. Often in sports events, you don't have a lot of time to actually think and prepare and compose. You just need to sort of use a gut feeling and a bit of experience. If you've been doing it for a while, you don't have a lot of time to think sometimes because everything is happening so quick around you, and you've got the weather if it's an outdoor event. So there are so many factors changing all the time.
Being the ocean, the sea, so challenging technically for a photographer, how do you manage with that? What do you search for? You search for a concrete moment. You told us about a composition, but being uh, so changing the conditions, the environment. How do you deal with that, Daniela? Do you always have in mind what you have to do? Do you let yourself be free with the camera in the hand and be working with the instinct? How do you challenge that?
Yes, I think you need a balance of both. So I like to have in mind what sort of images I would like to get from that event or situation or sports, but you do need to be flexible because, as I said, things change so quickly. So you do need to use a bit of intuition and actually there might be something happening in front of you that you haven't thought that would happen, and you just need to be ready for it. So I think it has to be a nice balance between pre-planning and actually being tuned in the moment to grab images which were not planned but might be even better than what you had imagined before. So you need a balance, basically.
Hmm. Uh, you travel around the world. You made this profession your way of life. There are many, I will say millions of passionate photographers, amateurs that would like to follow your steps. What will you say to them? Will you make any advice, or will you tell them, okay, forget about this. This is so hard. You earn not enough for a luxury living, or what will you say to them, especially to the
I think
youngers?
Yeah, so I think if you love photographing and traveling, you need to try to do it for yourself.
Mhm.
And often, if you're doing something you absolutely love doing and you're showing your work, people will actually get attracted to it. It just, I think you sort of communicate your passion through your photos if you're doing it because you love doing it. So I would say start doing it, but not expecting payment for it. That's how I started. I've always loved traveling and I've always photographed. So I think you need to, if it's a dream of yours and it's something you love doing, you need to do it for yourself to start with, not to try to get an income out of it. And sometimes it actually comes as a result of it being a passion. And and also, as I said, with practice, you definitely get better. So if you love doing it, just find a way of doing it for yourself first, and then things will just work from there, I reckon.
Let's talk about the photograph you take for the contest. It's in the Arctic with a nice old sailing ship, an iceberg as a big curtain surrounding the ship, the vessel. Explain how you made the picture, and it was something you prepared, or you were, I think you were in a dinghy sailing around, or
Yeah, so it was a week-long tour in Scoresbysund, which is on the east coast of Greenland. And we were there in summer, so we had basically 24 hours of daylight, except for a few hours where you get this pinkish sky, what would be roughly sunset and sunrise. And the it's just, I mean, you know you're going to see icebergs, but once you get there, it's just absolutely stunning. The variety in terms of sizes and shapes and colors is just absolutely mind-boggling. And that specific one where I got that photo was just massive. The ship is actually quite big and it looks tiny compared to the iceberg. Sort of had to jump in the Zodiac to move away from the main ship so we could actually get the whole ship and the iceberg in the photo. And that I think was roughly around 3 a.m., which was, let's say, the sunrise. That's why there are those pinkish bluish colors in the sky and the iceberg. And yeah, so we basically jumped on the Zodiac and moved away from the ship to be able to fit everything into the frame. The sea was a little bit rough, but not too bad. So you just need a faster shutter speed so it didn't get blurred image because we were actually bobbing on the Zodiac as I took that photo. Not only the ship was just stunning, it was beautiful, but it was really important in that image, I think, to give a sense of scale and have an idea of how large that iceberg actually was.
Mhm. Okay, thank you for the explanations. Daniela, we as a generation of photographers have been living the develop of the digital photography that has been a complete revolution, has changed everything, almost everything, has give us a lot of tools, has spread our possibilities. But in the other hand, I think, I don't know if you share this with me, but I think that we are too much exposed to photographies and thousands of images that come us in just seconds, no? Scrolling all the time. Long ago, back in times when you love a picture, you made a poster and you have that picture forever in your room as a teenager, or in your book well, when you went to a school. Nowadays we consume thousands of pictures in a moment, you know? How can we balance this situation, no? So much possibilities with so many dangers also, no? Because we trivial everything.
Yes, it's not just pictures, isn't it? We're just being overwhelmed by stimulus. It is too much. I reckon I agree with you. And a lot of the time, we don't even know what's true, what's not with a picture. I mean, digital photography is just amazing, but also if you're trying to portray the real world, it actually opens there a gap for people to fake it or to distort natural colors completely. And I understand it being done as a work of art, but if you're actually trying to show a place to someone, probably try to stick roughly to what you're seeing on the moment. But yeah, it's very tricky, isn't it? I think you need to. I personally try to limit my social media usage. I'd rather be outdoors looking at things, at the real thing, and trying to take photos. And I think each person needs to work out what is enough in terms of stimulus and images. And on the other hand, also, it's actually quite hard to come up with something different because there are just so many people out there and so many things happening and so many different images. So it's bad, but it's also good because I think it forces yourself to try to keep on your toes and come up with new stuff all the time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
challenging times for
it's
photographers, but
challenging.
also
Mm.
a lot of opportunities. I don't know if you have anything to say to the people of to the other photographers of the contest, to the public. Are you coming to Cartagena?
No, unfortunately not. I'd love to, but as you know, I'm on the other side of the world, and I already had quite a few things booked during that period. So I'd love to be there. I think the contest is also a great opportunity to connect with other photographers who are doing work in the same area. So I really miss that, and I hope the people there will have a great time. Yes, and they're beautiful images. All the images selected as finalists are just stunning. So I'm actually very happy and proud to have my little image there too. Yes, and it's amazing. I really wish I was there. I think it's great.
Okay. We will miss you here. Hope
Yes,
next year you could be traveling around Europe and visit us. Anyway, keep on traveling, keep on sharing your work and enjoying life. After all, everything is just that. No, enjoying the time we are in this beautiful planet. Thank you very much.
thank you. Thank you.